China's recent move against PwC is more than just a slap on the wrist. It is a deliberate punch to the heart of Western power, with repercussions destined to rock the foundations of global commerce. The $62 million fine and 6-month suspension imposed on PwC's China subsidiary is about more than just holding the firm accountable for its role in Evergrande's collapse. It is Beijing's method of delivering a powerful message to the West, particularly the United Kingdom. Your sanctions against us will not go unpunished, and your valued institutions will be targeted with precision and cruelty. How could Britain, still suffering from the aftermath of Brexit, attempt to impose moral judgments on China? The audacity of a nation that has long meddled in foreign affairs with its hands dirty from a history of colonization, now trying to stand tall against China, a powerhouse on the rise. PwC, a symbol of British financial dominance, has become the sacrificial lamb in this geopolitical tug of war. China's not about to let this opportunity pass by. This isn't just a regulatory decision, it's a political maneuver, a well-orchestrated chess move in the global power struggle. As China flexes its muscles and demonstrates that the days of foreign firms operating unchecked within its borders are over, what comes next? More fines, more sanctions, more retaliation, and the arrogance of Western nations believing they can lecture China is being met with a cold, hard reality. Stay with us until the conclusion as we deconstruct every explosive element of this narrative and reveal the true stakes at play. This story is far from over, and the fallout has only just begun. Hello, and welcome back to the Global Narrative YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel and appreciate hearing about the global economy and political stories from around the world, you've come to the right place. Please support us by subscribing, liking, and commenting. China's recent moves against PwC have sparked widespread attention and controversy, with sanctions and a record fine imposed on the global auditing firm. The incident has sent shockwaves across both the economic and political landscapes. The heavy-handed measure has been interpreted as a direct response not only to PwC's role in the alleged financial mismanagement of Evergrande Group, but also as a subtle but forceful condemnation of broader Western policies. The suspension of PwC's mainland China unit for 6 months, combined with a $62 million punishment, represents a planned response to several diplomatic difficulties, particularly those involving the United Kingdom. These tensions have been simmering for years, escalating with the imposition of Western sanctions on Chinese businesses and industries. As Beijing moves to tighten control over foreign entities operating within its borders, the message is clear. No company, no matter how large or globally influential, will be immune from the consequences of what the Chinese government considers non-compliance. In the case of PwC, Chinese regulators accused the firm of incompetence and even involvement in auditing Evergrande. One of China's top property developers is accused of turning a blind eye to the company's rising financial problems. Regulators claim that PwC's audits from 2019 to 2020 failed to detect or report illegal activity, resulting in one of China's worst company collapses in recent history. The sanctions imposed on PwC come at a time when China's economic woes are intensifying, particularly in the real estate sector. Evergrande's collapse is symbolic of a larger debt issue impacting Chinese developers. The company's default not only shook the financial markets but also put millions of Chinese residents who had invested in their homes in jeopardy with the Chinese government. Taking a tough stance against PwC is both about expressing strength to its home audience and setting a precedent for foreign corporations operating in China. At the heart of the problem is a fundamental mistrust between the Chinese government and the international enterprises that operate within its borders. The Chinese leadership has long been concerned about the impact of global institutions, particularly those from Western countries, which it sees as possible challenges to its sovereignty and stability. This apprehension has been heightened by recent penalties imposed by the United States and the European Union on Chinese corporations and officials over issues ranging from human rights violations to worries about national security. Just a little reminder to hit the like button below. Beijing's response to the PwC affair is carefully planned and contains critical overtones. While the sanctions against PwC are presented as a regulatory step to ensure responsibility and transparency, the broader ramifications cannot be overlooked. China is gently responding to what it sees as an unending Western attempt to undermine its economic and political systems. The fines and limits placed on PwC send a clear message. China will not remain quiet in the face of Western pressures, and it will retaliate as it sees necessary. PwC, for its part, accepted the fines. In a public statement, PwC's China business acknowledged that its work on Evergrande's accounting did not match the firm's objectives, but it has committed to improving its practices in the future. The fines and penalties imposed on PwC show that this admission does little to allay broader concerns about the future of Western businesses in China. The Chinese government is becoming more willing to hold foreign enterprises accountable in ways that were traditionally reserved for domestic businesses. The sanctions' impact on PwC extends beyond financial penalties. The firm is now barred from signing off on certain key documents, such as initial public offerings, IPOs, and financial reports for mainland clients. This restriction will undoubtedly harm PwC's business prospects in China, a market on which it has heavily relied for revenue. The corporation will face more scrutiny from Chinese officials in the future years, which might result in extra penalties or restrictions if it is shown to have breached other rules at the same time. China's action against PwC raises concerns about the wider ramifications for foreign enterprises in the country. While PwC is the most recent firm to face penalties, it is unlikely to be the last. In 2022, Deloitte's Beijing branch was fined 211.9 million yuan and suspended for 3 months for auditing China Hiramong Asset Management, another significant financial organization. These cases highlight a growing pattern of foreign corporations encountering heightened regulatory pressure in China, particularly those in sensitive areas such as finance, technology, and real estate. The timing of the fines against PwC is also noteworthy. With continuous tensions between China and Western nations, particularly over trade, technology, and human rights, the sanctions can be interpreted as part of a larger geopolitical plan, punishing a prominent Western corporation such as PwC. China is not only exercising its power, but also indicating to other foreign enterprises that they must exercise caution if they want to continue functioning in the world's second-largest economy. If you've liked this video so far, don't forget to subscribe, share it, and comment. Behind the scenes, the Chinese government has quietly encouraged domestic enterprises to lessen their reliance on foreign firms for services such as auditing, legal assistance, and advising. This push is part of Beijing's larger aim to attain more economic self-sufficiency. By targeting PwC, China is signaling to its domestic enterprises that they should prioritize cooperating with local corporations that are more aligned with the government's goals, particularly in crucial industries such as banking and technology. As China strives to impose itself on the global scene, the delicate balance between cooperation and competition with Western nations is growing more problematic. The sanctions on PwC are just one example of how this balance is shifting. While China remains open to foreign investment and commerce, it is also making it plain that foreign companies must follow its rules or face the consequences in response to the sanctions. Several Western countries have expressed worry about the increasing regulatory demands on foreign corporations in China. The UK, in particular, has been closely monitoring the situation, as PwC is one of the country's largest and most powerful firms. British authorities have questioned whether the penalties imposed on PwC are solely regulatory or if they are part of Beijing's broader political strategy to retaliate against Western sanctions. Although the penalties imposed on PwC are severe, China has taken care not to exacerbate the situation. As a result, there hasn't been any of the harsh rhetoric that is typical of diplomatic disputes between China and the West. Beijing has presented the sanctions as a necessary regulatory move to ensure the integrity of its financial markets. This strategy allows China to impose its power without risking more diplomatic backlash, which is especially important given the country's economic woes. The repercussions of this move for PwC and other foreign enterprises in China are still being determined. What is evident, however, is that the Chinese government is not reluctant to take dramatic moves to preserve its interests, even if it means hitting some of the world's most prominent firms as PwC deals with the sanctions aftermath. Other foreign enterprises working in China will be paying close notice, conscious that they, too, may find themselves in the sights of Beijing's regulatory system. At the same time, the greater geopolitical context must not be overlooked. The sanctions against PwC come against the backdrop of rising tensions between China and the West, particularly over issues of technology, trade, and human rights, with Western governments putting their sanctions on Chinese firms and officials. Beijing's move against PwC might be viewed as part of a larger trend in the company's strategy. Thank you for your time, and I welcome your views and questions about this complex and important subject. Would you like to see more videos like this one? If so, please like, share, and subscribe to receive unique films about how China is rapidly developing and expanding its influence. Your subscriptions and likes encourage us to create new content, so please keep supporting us. Check to watch the video on your screen right now, and I'll see you on the other side.